This week on The Grid, we're talking all about the power of encouragement, and we have some special guests joining us, and it all starts in just a few seconds.
The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the tripod alternative that is changing the world. Everybody has a Platypod. You should too. Go to platypod.com.
Well, hey, Gridsters, how's it going? We're joined in another week without Scott. So Scott's down in the Antarctic, and just talked to him yesterday. Everything's going great. It's awesome. But we're joined in studio by one of our Kelby One instructors, Gilmar Smith.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Gilmar.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, pleasure. Because she's down here. You're filming a class for Kelby One, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
That's
So
fun.
this is going to be an interesting episode. We were talking about it right before. A little different than what we normally would do. I really wanted to dive into this topic because it's one of those things that I think that we all kind of need to kind of recenter or hear sometimes. But it's about encouraging ourselves and encouraging other photographers, especially with their work. That there's something where, words have impact, right? As much as sometimes we'll hear, sticks and stones will break my bones, or words will never hurt me. But what I found in my career is those words have a bigger impact than you can even imagine, especially words of encouragement, right? I can slough off a lot of things, but when somebody sees something in your work, lifts up your work, pushes you to do more with your work, that's where it really takes off. And this is something that, again, this is a topic near and dear to my heart because I truly believe that this is what we're called to do, to help each other, to lift each other up. I believe that, my thing is encouragement launches greatness.
Yes.
Right? And that's kind of our topic today. But before we get to that topic, we have to do a bunch of business, right?
All
'Cause
right.
we always have business on the show. So the first thing is we've got to talk about upcoming stuff, and then we've got to give away some prizes. So upcoming stuff we've got the iPhone conference coming next month. So the iPhone conference is coming March 4th and 5th of next month. So join us for that. You can go over to kelbyonelive.com to get in on that. This is going to be awesome. There's some courses in there that I saw. Again, Rami's teaching something on landscape photography. The pictures I've seen from him with landscapes from an iPhone, incredible, blow me away. So many other classes, but you definitely want to check it out if you're into the iPhone. And I can tell you, I know you are into the iPhone as well. I mean, we all shoot with it anymore, right?
I actually always pretty much shoot with my camera, but my phone is the camera that I have when I
It's always with
don't
you.
want to work.
Yep.
So I take it when I'm out with my kids and, just to share the everyday things. So
Yeah, and that's what's so great about the iPhone is it's always with you, and you can make amazing images with it. It does become my second camera. It's like my backup camera. It's my second camera. But when I'm in your situation where I'm traveling, if I'm going over to Disney or something, a lot of times the iPhone becomes my primary. And then I'll take something like the Delta with a little attachment, and that becomes my tripod for the day. So it's amazing how that small device can kind of replace these bigger cameras for you. So check that out. Coming up next month. A couple other things. One other thing I talked about last week, Milky Way workshop. So I do a workshop once a year where we talk about, we go dive deep into the Milky Way. I've got a couple more spots for that, 2 more spots. So if you want to check that out, it's over at milkywayworkshops.com. And right there. And you can sign up for the workshop. It's this summer, peak Milky Way season. So there you go. 2 more spots there. And then we also have a bunch of prizes we got to give away. So prizes, speaking of Platypod, we're giving away the Platypod handle. Right, so I know that you use the Platypod a lot.
Yes.
Right, how do you like that new Delta?
I haven't tried yet.
You haven't tried it?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, this thing is incredible. Here, hold it, try it, feel
it's
it.
really light.
Use it today.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really light. What I love about it, I've taken that to Disney. You can go right in my pocket, where and the basic is nice, right? But this will go on any surface because it has the fold-out legs. And it fits in my pocket. It's great. So
That's
one
awesome.
pocket has that, one pocket has the grip, and I'm set up
that's
for the
it.
day. Like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So this has been one that Scott and I have been talking to Larry about this one for a while, because ever since the Ultra came out, and then they had the Extreme with the legs, we were like, well, if those two products came together, oh my gosh, it'd be great. And I love how he changed to the tripod design. So it works surprisingly well on a bunch of surfaces versus the 4-point design. So check that out over at platypod.com. Their Kickstarter, I don't know if their Kickstarter, is it over now? Is today the last day? Or no, 3 days to go. So you got just a couple more days to get on that Kickstarter. But look at there. You have 3 days to go and you can get on that Kickstarter. But we're going to be giving away a handle. Awesome product as well to go with your Platypod. And then we're giving away a copy of Scott's Crusted Composition book. You can get that over on Amazon as well, but somebody's going to win it today. Great book for learning all about composition. And what's great about it is also it's like a coffee table book. So it's got cool pictures, but then it has the educational value in there as well. And then On One is giving away a copy of their No Noise 2024. This plugin is awesome for removing noise and adding back that sharpening, that noise reduction. Whenever you run noise reduction back in the day, it just removed all the sharpening. This removes the noise and then adds back in that sharpening that you lose with that high ISO noise reduction. This has basically got to the point where, like for my Astro work, I don't really have to stack anymore. I used to have to stack dozens of photos on top of each other, and then we'd have to average out all the noise. We don't have to do any of that. And that would mean one shot would take 30, 40 minutes to get one shot. I can get a shot, get the composition, and then move on to the next location and not waste my an hour just in one spot just to get one shot. I can move on to the next thing. So it's a great plugin for that. And then V-Flat over at V-Flat World. So they're going to give away a V-Flat. This is for U.S. shipping only, so you got to have a U.S. shipping address to win. But they're going to give away a V-Flat. I don't know, have you used these yet?
Oh, I use those
Yes.
all the time.
These are incredible, right? So because they're able to fold up and fit into any vehicle, that's the game changer with these. So, if you're into portrait shooting, anything
I
like
even
that.
use them on a set. Like
Yeah,
I use
set.
like a black and white background, and that's
Yep.
my black, and then I light like a really white in the other side, and it makes it like color block, and it's super cool. You can use it as a little table to get your motor posing, to feel light. I mean, you can do so much with it.
Yeah, so much with it.
Yeah.
So check it out over at V-Flat World. Everybody can get 10% off. They use the code KELBY10 at checkout. Can't have enough V-Flats, that's for sure. All right, so to win those prizes, all you got to do is leave us a comment in the comments section. Tell us what you'd like to win, and then anything else that you'd want to talk about on the show. But speaking of that, let's kind of dive into our topic. So I kind of want to set it up, and then I want to ask you some questions. I've got some guests I want to bring on, and ask some questions. But really, what this came down from is, and I do have notes here because this is one of those topics where I want to make sure that I hit it right. I feel like with encouragement, right, that again, when you encourage other people, it is what I would call a force multiplier in life and in work. Like it is one of those things that's exponentially going to help people. You can tear them. It's so easy to tear people down. But it's hard a lot of times, though, for us to encourage, right?
I have a story about it. And it was like so many years ago in the Google Plus era.
I remember that. We had a conference on it, Google Plus conference. Yeah,
and it was fantastic. It was like the best place for photographer, the best community. And that was where I met Scott Calibra. That was the first place where I met them and I made a connection with them. And I remember Calibra, I was just starting with my camera. In fact, I started photography because I love the community of photographers in Google+. And Calibra saw something in me that I wasn't able to see myself.
Yeah.
And she was my biggest cheerleader
Yep.
at the time. And
Pulling it out.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I remember
she-
this too, because that's what I thought this topic was great, because I've seen you progress. And
Yes,
it's one of
yes,
those
definitely.
amazing things.
And my whole photography career was born here in Kelby Training at the
Yep,
time,
Kelby
and now
Training, yeah.
everyone. But it was Calibra, the one that really encouraged me and
push ya.
really pushed me and really opened the door for me and really told
Mm-hmm.
me that she really liked what I was doing. And at the time, I didn't have any idea. And to me, it's always, and whenever I talk about my path in photography, I always remember Calibra because she was such an impact when it came to everything that I do. And the same with Scott, like all the time, like I started like a little Kelby training, Kelby one finger, like going to the photo walks and
Yeah.
going to every single seminar and every single class that Scott, McNally, which is funny because
Yeah.
now like I'm one of Nikon ambassadors and I'm sitting there next to McNally.
yeah.
Then I tell him, do you have any idea how much money I spent in your workshops?
Yeah.
So that is amazing because you, through your path and through your life, you're always gonna have people that are gonna hate on you and
It's
are
crazy,
not gonna
yeah.
like what you do and going to troll you. But there are gonna be these people that really make a huge impact and really like open the door and really make you feel like what you're doing can also have an impact and it helps you really believe in yourself.
Oh, absolutely, and that's where even my own story, like that's what I'm saying. That there's those little things that change everything. There's people in your life like Joe McNally or like even Scott for me, kind of pushing me, going, "You have something here. You have an eye. You need to pursue this. You need to." You just saying the words of, like, that's a great photo. Like, you don't realize how just telling somebody they made a great photo lifts them up.
Or even like, I like that direction.
Yeah.
Even when the picture is not perfect, but that direction,
pushing
if
it.
you push it towards that side, that will just encourage somebody
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
to see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, and that's really, this comes out of something that, with me, I was always taught at a young age. My father definitely taught, things of, it was a gentleman code, right? And same thing, gentlewoman, gentleman. The thing, what's interesting about that word, right, is what is that gentle? And it didn't, to him it was, and what he always taught me is, it's not that you're going to be weak, not gentle. What it is I should always have, and I've always operated off, I should have strength. I should know how to do everything. I should pour myself into mastering a craft, right? But then I also have to know when to lift other people up, when to encourage other people, because the strength is using your power that you've obtained to lift other people up.
And the knowledge that you have acquired
Yeah.
during the time that you have been
Yeah.
building your skills up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where to me, that's something that a lot of times I think nowadays we try to suppress that, right? And we need to like let that out and be like, I need to be encouragements to other people.
Yeah, but there is something in photography, and we were talking about it a little bit before the show started, is that you start photography, and obviously everybody started as a hobby because you don't jump into photography and say, I'm gonna make a lot of money in photography. No, it takes a lot of grit to really make money.
It takes a lot of work.
But everybody that you see, or the people that I admire and the people that I love that teach photography, they teach it for the love of it.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
even on photography, if you compare a commercial assignment and the money that you get out of a commercial assignment versus what you can get as an educator, unless you have a humongous platform and all of that, is very little. But you do it for the love of it. And I do it I was in Dallas in a conference 2 weeks ago, teaching. And in my photo walks, if you see my camera, I take 1 or 2 pictures because I just take it there is a shot here, come on everybody, there is a shot over here, and if you move this way, you can find this. I'm not doing it to take any pictures. I want every single person that goes there to live with great pictures, but not only with the great pictures to show, but
absolutely.
the techniques and how to build up and how we build it up to build that picture. And if you have, I love my path of photography because there have been so many people that I absolutely love and that taught me so many things. And I want to give back because photography did something magical to me because it was born in the worst time of my life. And my camera has always been my therapy and my space to go to a magical place in my head that sometimes I don't find otherwise. So if there is something that I can give, is just that little magic, just that little pushment to somebody to find that magic. Because if you do it just for the money, you're just gonna cry. You have to really love it.
So what encouraged you to pick up the camera the first time?
Well, this is funny because I always loved photography, and one time in my life I told my dad that I wanted to be a photographer, and guess what he told me? You're going to starve to death.
Yeah.
So I kind of gave it up, and then my ex-husband got a camera, and he wasn't using it, and I got it out of curiosity. And I don't have a whole lot of pictures of me growing up, but my older brother has a gazillion of them. And my son was young, and I was like, I'm going to take a lot of pictures of him. But it wasn't photography, just the camera, just taking pictures what really caught my eye. It was like when I got into Kelvin training at that time and I started watching, I remember Calvin Hollywood. His style, I absolutely fell in love, and all the things that I could do for Photoshop. So for me, it was more than the picture, it was the stories that I could create and how I could manipulate the picture creatively. So I love photography, but I think that the superpower for me that photography has is just being a creative outlet, and how to look at things in a different way, how to incorporate colors, how to play with shadows, how to be better at storytelling.
Well, and that's what we talk
elements.
about. We talked about that a lot on the grid, of how you can take photos. Very easy to take photos. It's very hard to make photos, right?
Yeah.
And when we make photos, what you're talking about, it's more about the story that the photo tells.
Yeah.
That one frame that's captured in time, that's frozen, and people, if a bunch of people can look at your photo and a bunch of people can see a story, like that's when you've elevated your photography.
And it's
to
the
another
same
level.
like when you are in a photo wall, when you're teaching a workshop, when you're teaching all of that, you can create a set. You can put it together, right?
Yep.
And everybody can come here and take pictures and take the same picture. What is going to be the picture that's going to have the more value? The people that went down, or the people that look on a side angle and look at the different ways to tell the same story that is right in front of everybody's faces. So,
Yeah, we usually see the world right here.
Yes.
So when you change your perspectives.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, before we go to the first break, was there a piece of encouragement that helped you in your career that's like a defining moment on your photographic journey? You talked a little bit about Calibra.
I talk about Calibra, and she was amazing.
But is there one thing that you always go back to?
Well, to me, it's a very personal thing, because at that moment in my life when I really started photography, I had absolutely nothing. So I just had a camera and the will to do something, and the will to prove myself that I could do something for it. So it was more an inner encouragement. And during that time, I have family, I have closest friends telling me not to do it, or didn't believe in me. So the words of encouragement came from within.
Well, and that probably makes sense of why you, in the beginning of your career, what I noticed was you focused on self-portraits.
I did, because I didn't have anybody else around but me.
Well, you
And-
didn't have a lot of people too that were encouraging that.
Yeah, and the thing is that to me, self-portraiture was not only just to take pictures of myself, because it's the most uncomfortable that people think that it's just, oh, it's just gonna take a picture, it's easy. No, it takes a lot of skills and a lot of patience, and it's one of the most cringiest things in the world.
Yeah.
It feels so uncomfortable. But I wanted to learn so much that I was willing to make the fool out of myself. I was willing to fail, and I was willing to spend all the time that I had learning my lighting, my storytelling, my retouching, and absolutely everything in the craft. And that's what self-portraiture is for me, is
Cool.
just the way that I really, truly learned not only that, but the techniques that I used to ease myself. I use them with the people that are now in front of my camera, because I know exactly how uncomfortable and cringy it is to be in front of the camera.
Yes, that's a great tip right there. You know,
Yeah.
definitely if you want to get into the style that you do, like self-portraits are a great way to educate yourself on putting yourself into the shoes of your client or the people you're
Yes.
working with. Yes, definitely.
Yes, 1,000%.
Very cool. Well, another thing, you know, I want to talk about is encouraging this next generation. You know, we need to encourage future generations, new people getting in the industry, and that's really why we're here. That's why we're set up. I mean, I believe in what we do and why we do what we do because of that. We want to be mentors to that next generation, and it doesn't matter what age somebody's at. Like, you can start their career in photography at any
I started
time.
at 30-something years old.
So, I mean, it's definitely one of those things that you can start at any time. But we need to, as photographers who have gone through that, who are at that stage, we need to be encouraging that next generation of photographers and not suppressing that, right?
Yes,
And so I want to take a break here, but when we come back, I want to introduce you to somebody that I've met over the last couple of years that I've seen his work blossoming, and just want to encourage him with that.
Think your iPhone is just a phone? Think again. Join the Kelby One iPhone conference and unlock the full power of your camera right in your pocket. From pro-level shooting techniques to jaw-dropping edits. Our top industry experts will show you how to turn ordinary shots into stunning masterpieces. 2 days. World-class instructors. Endless creativity. Don't just take pictures. Make art. Join today.
Erik Kuna here with Kelby One, and I'm here at Death Valley, California, at Death Valley National Park for a new class in our National Park Series over at Kelby One, where we're teaching you all about what you need to know to master photography at the national parks. And in this class, we're going to focus on Death Valley. I love Death Valley because it's such a diverse landscape. When you first look at it, you first get here, you might think, hey, it's not that different. But as you start to see the different environments, like here we're at the sand dunes, we're over at the salt flats, we're at overlooks, we're at badlands, we're at colorful artist palette. We've got all these different things that you're gonna see and be able to capture as a photographer and know how to make the most out of Death Valley. Join me at my new class on Kelby One, Photographer's Guide to Death Valley.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
All right, we're back. And I wanted to introduce you to somebody that I don't know if people know this too much about me, but I am a very analytical person. I'm a very very technical person, but I'm also a very spiritual person. That I do believe that there is things in the universe that come along that kind of show you that the world is small and that this all interconnected, and there's got to be like more of a design to this universe. And one of those moments was actually meeting our next guest, right? So I met Jory. So Jory I met at, I was out teaching at a conference at Kanab, Utah. So I was out at the Nightscapers conference. I was teaching at a conference. And I just drove over to Bryce Canyon one night because I wanted to shoot a pano. I was shooting a pano of Thor's hammer. And I'm down on the path, and I'm kind of just sitting there. And this guy walks by, and this guy says, "Hey, nice nodal rail." And I went, "Well, thanks. Oh, yeah." And I said, "Yeah, nice one that you got too." So we started talking, photography, because that's what we do. He saw I had a nodal rail. I saw he had a nodal rail. I'm like, okay, well, you know enough about panos to know about a nodal rail. But then we got talking, and then it turns out, I started getting into well, what do I do and all this stuff. And he goes, "Oh, I'm a photographer too, and I kind of like doing this and traveling around." And we kind of kicked it off. We kind of hit it off because we're very similar. We like to off-road to locations. He has a Jeep. I have a Jeep. We like to kind of get lost with our photos. But then I'm talking about my rocket photography, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my cousin shoots at NASA." And I was like, "Well, what's your last name?" And he told me it's Jory Vander Galien. And I was like, "So Craig?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm always on the bus with him," right? And then that's where I went, okay, such a small world, right? So that's kind of weird. So we kept up. We kind of kept in touch, kept up, and again, he's encouraging, I'm encouraging. We're kind of going back and forth, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he'll kind of share some stuff he's doing, and we kind of stay connected. We went out shooting. Funny thing, I didn't even go into the next day. So I'm in the area, he's in the area. And I'm driving over to White Pocket, which is an awesome place in Utah if you've never been. It's like screensaver land, right? And I'm driving there, and then I see on the side of the road when I'm driving through the north rim of the Grand Canyon, I see Jory there in his Jeep.
Oh.
So I pulled over, I said, "Hey, what you doing?" I was like, "Hey, I'm going to White Pocket." And he's like, "Oh, I was going there too." So then we just went to White Pocket and shot in White Pocket together. But again, this is totally not like all this stuff. So then fast forward, and again, I'm telling you, we keep up with each other. The weird one was I broke down this summer in Cuba, New Mexico, which if you know, Cuba, New Mexico, not a big population, nothing really there, had to get towed back to Albuquerque. I'm in Albuquerque with my family, and we're going around Albuquerque. Now, mind you, I know that at that time I wasn't putting everything together. I'm thinking I need to go on my trip, and I'm like all this stuff, and I wasn't thinking, oh yeah, Jory's from Albuquerque, and I've broken down here. So the first day we go walking down, and we're just kind of because we're stuck there because they're fixing our engine on our diesel, and they're fixing our engine, and we're walking through, and I went, "Oh, well, there's a photo studio. Let's go by it." It was in Albuquerque. So we walk by, and as I'm walking in, somebody's walking out and goes to lock the door, and we went, "Oh, okay, no problem." And I'm going, "Wait a minute, I know that guy. Wait a minute, I know that guy." So then I turn around, I go back, and I go, "Wait a minute, I know you." And he's like, "Wait a minute, I know you."
Oh, that's
And it's
funny.
Jory walking out of the gallery, which he's now working with, selling his work.
Okay. Or whether you guys are universally
Right.
or you're tracking each other. one of you is a
I know,
stalker.
right? Could be, but it's too weird, right? It's too weird.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I think Jory's standing by. Hey, Jory, are you there?
I'm right here. Yep.
Hey.
Right here. That was a great intro. That was pretty much it on that story.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, it was just one of those weird kind of like spiritual kind of like, this is too weird.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but I've been keeping up with Jory's work for years now, because since we first met and kind of keeping up with his work. And what I know about him is, Jory, he's kind of trying to make it as a photographer. He's really gone into this photography thing. And I can say that I've seen him and I've seen what you're doing, and you are working it and you are making it. Like, so many people say, oh, I'm going to try this photography thing, or I'm going to do this photography thing, but then they don't like put in the effort to do it, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that I've noticed in your career. Like, you went all in, you put in the effort. That's why you are where you are today. And that's where what I see Jory doing is that same thing. And just to bring up some of his work here, because I've got some of it that I've seen. Like, he is really good at the art of it, right? Of putting stuff together to where it looks like this is something I'd want in my home.
That's beautiful.
Right? It's something that, and I've seen where Jory's having a lot of success in an area that it's hard to succeed in. It's hard to succeed in landscape photography. It's not something we have clients like you have, where clients come and pay us, or in my aerospace clients where they come and like landscape is hard.
Yeah,
It's
just to
very
get
hard.
into
It's
very
for
hard.
people to
It's
see
very
your
hard.
work and to be different than the
Yeah,
other ones.
but if you look
Yep.
at like Jory, what you do so well is you're framing up nature in a way that makes me want to put it on my wall. And the other thing to understand, and I think we've talked about this before, maybe we may talk about it on the grid, what photographers don't understand is the people that are going to buy your work as a landscape photographer are not other landscape photographers. They're not other photographers at all, right? Right, Jory?
Absolutely. That's 100% true. It's a hard sell. It really is. And you have to have an emotional connection to the pieces that people buy of mine.
Yep.
Like that cross picture, there is no emotional connection to that picture. However, it is one of my top selling pictures, and it goes all across the country.
Yeah.
But as far as everything else, though, the landscapes, it's like people, oh, I was there, and I had this special moment, and I couldn't make a picture quite like you did. So, man, thank you for making that picture. Those are the kinds of, comments people email me with. Like, it's just, in fact, sometimes people will start crying.
Yeah.
I have people come into my booth, and they'll stand in front of one of my pictures, and they'll just weep. And like, whoa, what do I say? I'm not sure what to do. Like, do I hug them? But no, you just start telling the story behind it. And then it's just an emotional connection that people get with the picture.
Yeah, and I mean, look at these shots. I mean, too, like this is one where I know Jory, when I first met him, he wasn't kind of too big in the night stuff. And I kind of went, hey, you should try it out. It's pretty cool. and I think you were telling me that like a lot of this stuff is selling really well, too.
Yes.
I think a reason being, I think there is a connection we have with the universe. Like, I do think that people see the universe, and it is a wonder or an amazement. Like, and then, but what I love about your photography, like mine, like you're putting a subject in the front of it. You're not just letting it be the universe. You're connecting it with something like that's something where if I'm from the central part of the country, I understand windmills. I connect with windmills, and then these trees. But it's just very amazing to see. But the thing is, you're putting in the effort that it takes to make it. Right?
And he has the vision and the skills, and he knows how, because you take the picture and it doesn't look at once like that. It's the part of the post-processing, and it's where the creativity and it's where the uniqueness come out.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what...
And I really believe in the technical aspect of a picture. I really go out and I really technically try to make it right, so I don't have to do a lot of post-process.
Yeah.
My biggest post-processing is just maybe some dodging and burning and some color variations. If I have to do more than that, then I don't think it's, I mean, in other words, it shouldn't take so much work, right? I think the biggest amount of work is taking out the dust spots, and that's what drives me crazy.
Yeah, but
So.
I think that's where, again, I think we kind of share that same thing where I'm a highly technical person as well. But at the same time, there is a thing of the difference in the photos is when you're able to bridge the technical, especially in landscape photography. I think when you're able to bridge the technical with the creative, that's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So many people just get focused on the technical, and there's no subject, there's no depth of field, there's no clearly defined depth to the photo. It just kind of loses a soul. It's kind of soulless. It's kind of like a snapshot, and that's where
You have to add personality. You have to add a little bit of your thing. So every single image that people see, it has a little bit of you, and that's what's gonna make it different from 1,000 other landscape photographers.
So Jory,
Yeah.
what I wanted
Yes.
to figure out from you, like, so where did what encouraged you to kind of like get serious about this, to pick up the camera and like really get serious about this?
The true seriousness came after I broke my back, in all honesty. I was always making pictures for many, many, many years. And then I gave it up for a while. And I decided to do something else. I walked away because I got burned out. And then after I broke my back, that was when everything changed. It was almost therapy. And I just had to go out and do it. And I went up with a completely different mindset, because before I was doing black and white work and only making limited edition work. And I wasn't always very happy because I was trying to, again, get into these big galleries, which did work sometimes. But then galleries closed their doors, and that was very depressing. And so when I gave it up for a couple of years and just let it be, and after I broke my back, it was like the lights went off. It was therapy. And it was everything I needed to bring it forward. And I said I was going to take it a completely different approach. I was going to make color work. I was going to make astro work. And I was going to do festivals. I was going to make it my life, a way to make a living, a way to support my family. Also passion, you know. So I've never been happier with the work I'm making today. And I never thought that would be when I graduated from art school, to make pretty pictures, because in art school, they don't teach you how to make pretty pictures. They just teach you to conceptualize and put everything together right. But when I threw all that away, I'm going to do my own thing. That's when I became happy. Nice. And it's literally the best thing in my life. So sometimes I say that my back break was, you know, the $1 million break, and I haven't seen $1 million yet. However, it was the best part of my photography journey, in all honesty.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that is, and that's one of the points that I was talking about, is sometimes at our lowest points is where or sometimes in the most painful points in our life come the most beautiful things, if we're open to it.
Yep.
And I think that's the key, is the key that, for me at least, what I've realized is in those painful moments, because I've had problems, we talked about that. I mean, I had back surgery and did all that. Like, those painful points, or really like my push into what I do now was the painful point of my dad passing away, right? It really is like these, but out of those most painful things, like beauty can come out of that.
Because they give you perspective,
sure.
and they teach you what really values and what really fills your heart.
Yeah. So that's another encouragement to people, is like, you know, if you feel like you're like at that low, like you really have to examine that and look at that and say, well, what is encouraging you? What is pushing you? What is drawing that out of you?
In one of my darkest, and it was like a really dark night in my life, when I was in the middle of my grief, when Laurent passed away, I was extremely depressed. And I made a list of the things, the moments, the places, and the people that really made me feel seen, made me feel loved, and made me feel happy. And that list, I still have it. And I decided from that moment to live based on that list. And photography was like right there on top.
There you
And
go.
Disney too.
There you go.
You know,
Disney,
another thing,
Yeah.
another thing I was going to add to that is now I take my whole family with me when we make work. We have a camper. The whole family comes out to explore with me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with my kids there and me teaching my kids how to, especially Victor, my son, to frame a shot just right. And he's just doing it with me. And he's got his little tripod. It's just absolute pure joy. I love having the family with me. For
Oh
sure.
yeah, and I know we've talked about that, Jory, because I know that was one of the things that too, because I'm big on that. So we travel. The reason we have an RV is I can go create, I can go do that stuff, but I do it with them, right? And but it's like a collaboration almost.
Well, you see that I do that with my kids all the
yeah,
time
Disney,
too, and I've done it
she
since
does that at
day
Disney.
one.
I see that with your kids and your work.
And now they have their own cameras and they go and take pictures. And now I sit on a bench at Disney while my son takes pictures.
It is. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Like we all share that commonality there. And I feel like when you do have, there's, well, I mean, when it gets down to it, like there's nobody I'd rather spend all my time with. And then we do have fun making pictures. Like they love, like the one thing my wife and daughter say is we love you being a photographer because we get to go to amazing, epic places. Like we'll be sitting down and like, how did we even get here? And it's like, oh, it's just because you're a photographer. We wouldn't be here right now if you weren't a photographer, because we'd probably be at dinner or we'd probably be over at this shop in town or whatever. We wouldn't be out in the middle of nowhere in front of this amazing mountain with this amazing epic sunset. With the moose sitting in front of us in the river, you know, like you wouldn't be sitting there.
I take my son, now he's my assistant, and he set up my lighting and everything. So like a month ago, I took him to this photo shoot with this actor, and he used to play in the NFL. So my son was there helping me, blah, blah, blah. We're watching on Sunday the Super Bowl. And then my client showed up in a commercial with Brady. And my son is like losing his mind because he got to be at that shoot with me, helping me. And he met the guy that was right there with Tom Brady on the...
There you go.
And so it's super cool because
really
they get
cool.
like... And I have taken them to concerts, so to Boys to Men concert, and I've shot Boys to Men, and they get to see all of that and to so many people, and they get to experience all of that, and that's how you said it's thanks to photography.
Yeah, thanks to photography.
It's so much fun.
So Jory, I got a question here.
Yes.
My question is, it's one I asked Gilmar. Was there one piece of encouragement that changed your photography journey? Was there something you can look back on and say, hey, you know, that really changed the trajectory, like something somebody encouraged you with?
I remember, this is when I still had an old film Minolta right out of high school. And growing up in Wisconsin, it's cold, right? And so I went out on a cold, freezing winter day after a snowstorm, and the sun was out. Freezing cold. It must have been 10 below zero the whole day. It was absolutely freezing. But I went out, took pictures in the winter of farms and barns. And there was a full moon as well coming up in the afternoon. And I had this great picture. I thought it was great. But when one of my buddies came home for a weekend from college, he saw the picture and he said, Jory, that is a picture I would like to buy. I'll never forget it. And it never, ever has left my mind. And to this day, he has come to some of my photography shows. And he was also in my wedding, you know, so he's genuine. And so that was a moment I thought, maybe I have something here. But years and years have passed to where I am today from that point, you know, so, but that was a moment that was pivotal. I'll never forget that point.
Well, and that's exactly, I have those same stories. I'm sure you have those same stories. And that's exactly what I was meaning by that question. there are things that people say, like that one comment stuck in your mind so deep. And that's what we have to as photographers, especially with the next generation, or people that you're trying to mentor, or people that are just showing you, like, we want to encourage, if there's something great there, encourage it. If there's something, don't, the worst thing I think I see a lot of photographers do is they kind of, like, there's certain sayings that just drive me nuts, like the one that, and I think maybe I've talked about this, the one that drives me nuts is, you know, people will see your work and they'll go, I've got that shot.
Yeah.
That's like I hate saying that, like, on so many levels, and I hate people saying it on so many levels, because a lot of times, I think the other thing that frustrates me sometimes is I know what shot they're talking about, and I'm like, well, no, your shot's not like his shot at all. Like, his shot is like way up here, and yours is like you just took a snapshot, but you're equating it. But at the same time, then that's the whole thing, is like, if there's something to encourage them with, we should be encouraging those people, like, hey, well, what can we encourage you to be able to see that that's not the same?
Yeah,
you know?
the other little thing is that whenever, like, for what I heard from him and my own story, I pick up a camera in such a hard moment. So you don't know what that person is building.
Yeah.
And how that camera is escape in that moment for them.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to be very wise, because nobody, as we mentioned before, nobody pick up a camera just to make money.
Yeah.
You pick up a camera because what it does to you.
Yeah, very
good. I'd like to fast forward a little bit, Eric, as
well.
Because when I graduated college with my art degree and making all my limited edition black and white work, during that time, my wife, who I still like to call my bride after 22 years, she would maybe smile at some of the work. Oh, that's okay, but she wasn't always into it. But when I started making the color work in the most recent years, and when I hear her say, wow, that is when I know I've won her. And because she's not an art critic, right? So, but she's my biggest critic. And so when she likes it, I have such a warm feeling inside that I know that she likes it, that's going to work. So that is usually a good sign.
Well, that's awesome. And I think I'd love to, let's continue this. But they're telling me and encouraging me to take a break. So the control room always is encouraging. So speaking of encouraging to take a break, I encourage you to come back in a few minutes and join us. We're going to pick up this conversation here about encouraging and lifting each other up.
If you're like me, and I'm betting you are, you love Lightroom tips. I love them. I love those little things that make you faster and more efficient and more productive. I mean, that's why I run the website lightroomkillertips.com. Well, if you like this type of stuff, I got a brand new class where I've got 25 of my all-time favorite Lightroom tips. I got some brand new ones you've probably never seen before. I've got some ones that you remembered from years ago and you forgot about. I got some new twists. There's just so much stuff. We're gonna have a great time together. So come and check out my brand new class with 25 of my all-time favorite Lightroom tips, and it's exclusively here at Kelby One.
Hey everyone, Rick Salmon here. I'm really excited to tell you about my latest Kelby One class, Capturing the Heart of a Culture with Your Camera. Now, this topic is really close to my heart. It's really close to my heart because for the past 30 or so years, I've traveled around the world with Susan. We've traveled to more than 100 different countries, documenting different cultures. Now, in this comprehensive class, I'll talk about my photo philosophies, planning and research, composition and storytelling, interacting with people photography skills, cultural focus, and more. I'll share with you everything that you need to know to capture the heart of the culture with your camera And just as important, have fun when you're doing it. You know, I could have called this class Where to Go for Great Travel Photographs because it features my favorite locations on the planet. Or I could have called it a master class in travel photography because I really do cover it all. But this class, truly, my friends, is about capturing the heart of a culture. So it goes way, way, way beyond just another travel photography class. So, my friends, I really hope you could join me for my latest class only on kelby1.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
All right, we are back, and I got a couple comments here. So Dean's saying, I have a photographer friend that encourages me to enter images into photo contests. I ended up doing so and placed well. I did not win, but ranked high among the images, and it boosted my confidence considerably. Thanks to her professional encouragement. And that's where I'm big on that. Like, you need to, like that's one of the things that, one of the things I love at Kelby One that we've started to do is dig in a little deeper and getting more personal one-on-one, and that's with our VIP membership, where we've gone for people that really want to dig and go a little deeper. And that's one of the things that I know we encourage people every single week that we're meeting on, because we'll see images, Scott and I will see images and go, this needs to be in a photo contest. Mm-hmm. This needs to be entered, because you need to enter it because you will see that you will win or you will place, and then that's going to be like, oh, a barometer. I feel like, but it's also that phone thing, and that's where I want to get it here, is like, there's a couple quotes that I wrote down, or things that I've heard along my life, and I don't know where they come from sometimes, and sometimes they're mashed up from other quotes, so I don't even know where they come from. But one of them along those lines is, don't underestimate the power of saying, that's a great shot. It might be the nudge somebody needs to keep going.
Yes,
right?
Yep.
1,000%.
I agree.
That's where, if I see a great shot, your gut is sometimes to go, oh, I wish I took that shot. Mm-hmm. But what we need to do a lot of times is just say, hey man, that's a great shot. Or, Gilmar, that was awesome. Like, way to go, and like, just leave it at that, because those words to somebody else could be the thing of like, I was going to sell my gear and I didn't know.
But it should be like a everyday thing for every single, just for photography.
Everything,
Like I learned from my
true.
daughter. She walks around and she tells people, I love your shirt, I love your outfit. And things like that change so much everybody's day. So imagine you when you put so much work into a picture, when you are so attached to an image, and then you get that words of encouragement.
Oh yeah, definitely. Another one that I wrote down here was, behind every great photograph is somebody who believed in them before they believed in themselves. Mm-hmm. I didn't say great photographer. And for me, I mean, a lot of that is my wife, right, who pushes me to kind of do this stuff, because it's just like, it's one of those things where, like, and I think, Jory, you're talking about, like, she is sometimes my biggest critic, but she's also my biggest fan. And I have to watch sometimes, like, you have to watch with family members, because sometimes with family members, they will just be your cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. But you need a cheerleader. You need somebody who is pushing you. But it's also believing in that. And it's really great when that comes from people in the industry that you respect.
Yes, definitely.
And I think that's one of the things, when you see people that you do respect saying, man, you're creating great work. Like, that's the thing that keeps me going.
Yes,
that's the thing that keeps us kind of, pushing. Stu has a comment here. One of the trickiest things to do is to mix encouragement with criticism. I need encouragement, but I also need to know what I'm doing wrong or how to improve.
Yes.
Totally true.
I agree.
And well,
I love criticism, though.
Well, I almost kind of like criticism is a way of encouragement, if done properly.
If it's not trolling.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like
trolling. Yes, exactly.
Constructive criticism. That's one of the reasons, honestly, guys, why we do the blind photo critiques. We're not trying to destruct. We're trying to construct. Yeah. Now, there's some times where you have to say, like, hey, you need to I really need you to re-examine everything because there's nothing here that I can really help you with. I mean, every once in a while we'll get that.
Yeah.
But most of the time we're trying to look at something and say, hey, you need to fix this because if you fix this, that will propel your work farther.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know if it's my personality, but I have to thank a lot of mean people throughout my life that told me that I wasn't gonna make it or nothing, blah blah blah, because to me it was like, oh really, sit there and watch me now, and I know they're still watching. So you have to take criticism, but in order to take it, you have to know who is it coming from.
Yeah,
and if it's valuable, and if they know what they're talking about. Because if it's somebody that doesn't know anything about photography or whatever, or doesn't know the direction that you want to take, and come and tell you something, I just like
the best sometimes online is we're so interconnected as a world anymore, and people will post these comments about like how their you comment like that photo stinks or whatever, and then you look, and then you click on their link. And you go to their portfolio. And you're like,
isn't that the truth?
Yes.
Well, that's where you go, okay, I don't. Now, again, if Joe McNally picks up the phone and calls me and says, Eric, that
he will
photo,
never do it, though.
Well, he would
if
it was like well, he wouldn't call me up. But if I asked for it, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
But if I asked for it and then he said that's crap, like I gotta go, like okay, that's crap, like that sometimes happens with us, is where we'll get so like emotionally attached.
Yeah, and the thing is that somebody that's knowledgeable and somebody that respects some other people, they will never come to you and tell you that's crap.
Exactly. Yeah, your peers will always tell you the truth, but in a graceful way.
Yes, with respect.
And not a way to put you down or to put tears in your eyes. It's going to be true criticism. Like, hey, just like you said, Eric, let's make this right, okay? And we can do this, and this, and that will make it better. Maybe even cropping it different. In fact, there's a term I like to use. Or actually, here's what bothers me. I hate using the term crop out. Right?
Yeah.
I like using the term to crop in what I like. For that matter.
I see what you're saying.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Yep. And also another thing I like to tell people is where you stand. Okay. You might be able to stand someplace just 2 feet further and the picture will be completely different. So why is that in the way of the picture right over here? So let's move over just a little bit and it just changes the picture. Mm-hmm. So.
Very true. Very true. I mean, that's where, as photographers, it can make and break a photo just by where you stand or what you're standing in front of,
and the story that you're telling,
the story that you're telling.
Yes.
Like that, and that's where I am a very technical person, but I also understand at the end of the day, the technical is so far down the food chain of what makes a great photo. I need to know it. Like I was talking about earlier, I've got to be able to master it and exercise it and be able to know it. But I've got to know when, hey, I got to bail on this photo. It's not doing anything for me. I've got to I got to move around, like Jory's talking about. Like if I've just and then the other thing is like I feel like a tripod becomes a crutch, right? The minute you put the tripod down. Like that's where I see where people they do that, and I tell them out of my workshop so many times. Like they'll get up to a location and they're trying to find a composition. They just stick the tripod down. I'm like, no, take the tripod and like throw it away for a second. Just go around with your camera, boost your ISO even if we're at night, and just look for different frames before you, because the minute you put the tripod down, it's like a lock into the
Yes.
ground, and it's like
Yeah,
it's like they
so
put
true.
concrete into the ground, and it's like super glued there, and it's never gonna move. And I'm like, yeah, but would it look good like 50 feet that way? It might. Or what if we
It
walked
might,
over
yeah.
to that?
Or just
what if we
nail it
walked
down.
over to that rock formation or that cool tree or that cool foreground? You know, instead of
And-
just being like, I'm locked in here.
And then sometimes you move around and then you find yourself coming back to the original location as well.
Yeah,
which
that's
is
true. That's
very,
true.
very true with me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do that a lot too. Well, we got a
'Cause I
couple
think
other.
sometimes first intuition is usually, let's just say, for me, my first intuition is usually right. But then sometimes I move around, but then for me, that's all I can say about for me.
Well, I could say that at the point I'm at now, I would agree with that. When I was starting out, there was a lot. That's why in the beginning, I think you take so many photos because you're trying to figure it out, right? You're trying to
Right.
figure it out. But then once you start, like, that's where like my shutter count is so low anymore because of, I think, what you're talking about, Jory. Like, I go up to a location and I go, I want to be up there, I want to be standing there, and I want to be shooting this
Yep.
way with the
Yeah.
light.
Yeah, but
So I
it's
don't even
different
like-
for
but-
portraiture.
But that's like from years of just like, I've tried that shot and I've
Yeah.
tried that shot and I've tried
Yeah.
going over there and I've tried playing with the light this way, and none of it did what I wanted it to do for this type of picture.
And I think that is something very important is just giving always room to experimentation because you
This
know
is
where
true,
the
yeah.
shots are, but then you have to walk away from what you know that is going to be good and try something
Yeah.
new.
Yeah.
And real quickly, I don't know how much time we have, but I just want to just add real quickly. I think part of, because you talk about your shot count is low. My shot count is usually pretty low as well. And that comes from the old film days in me, lugging around even a view camera. Most of the time a medium format. When you only had, 24 pictures in a roll or, as a view camera, you get 2 pictures on a slide, front and back. So you just really had to think about the way you shot it. And I still think of that way as a digital shooter, but I mean, I like seeing what we get now as digital, which is great, but I don't go out and shoot 1,000 pictures.
Yeah.
I might come home with, let's just say that the picture I just have of the Death Valley I just posted on my Instagram just yesterday.
Yeah.
I believe there's only 5 pictures of that whole scene. And there is one I just chose. So I really don't shoot a lot. So I get what I get, and I'm happy with it, and I move on.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, all right. So speaking of that, good segue. If you want to go follow Jory and what he's doing, check out his Instagram. Here's that one shot he was talking about here, Death Valley. I don't know if the control room has it. Maybe.
Almost there.
Maybe not. I don't
Almost
know.
there.
I don't even know if they have my screen. I don't know. But anyways, if you go to Jory's Instagram, then we can check out his Instagram. And then during the break, maybe they'll get my screen. But there you go. Over there. Scroll up just a little bit. Scroll up. No, to the top. There you go. So it's Jory VG Photo. So go follow him on Instagram. He's doing a lot of stuff where he's showing. I saw you were on the cover of a magazine recently with a Milky Way shot. Boom,
With
boom.
the Milky Way. Yep. And there's the Death Valley right there. It's the second row.
Yeah, the second row, that one right there with like the purpley sky. There you go, right there. Oh, no, you missed it. You were on it.
Yeah, he was on it.
There
he
you
was
go.
on it right there.
There
There
Yep.
you go.
But
You're
there.
trying to click on it. Maybe you are. Maybe not. Oh,
There.
you can't click on it because they're not logged in. Anyways, so go check it out. Cool stuff. And Jory, thanks for coming on the show. And look forward to talking to you. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more. I know when we get into selling your work and prints, you have this co-op gallery out there that you guys have in Albuquerque that I got to see. It's amazing.
Which I'm heading there right after this interview. I got to run the gallery today. So.
Sweet. Yeah. So we'll definitely talk some more in the future. But I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate the work that you're putting in. It's noticed. You're doing it. You're not making excuses about it. And that's where I think that is great what you're doing. So keep it up.
Well, Erik, I want to just extend the exact same words back to you, because your work has encouraged me in many ways. Because I was not a night shooter until I met you, if you remember.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And you truly have encouraged me, and I have taken that and I've ran with it. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Well, and you're running with it, and I see you doing great with it. And I saw pictures in your gallery, and like you were talking about, like a lot of that night stuff is really flying off the shelves. So
it's my #1 selling work, other than my Mesa Arch, in all honesty.
There you go. Well, very cool. Well, keep it up, and
thank you.
We'll keep on talking. I'll see you offline.
Absolutely, Erik. Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too, Hill. Yep, nice meeting you too.
All right. Well, we have to take our final break, because if not, the network will get in trouble, I guess. But let's see. We got another comment, a couple more comments before we go to break. Dave saying, I love the blind photo critiques. I learned tons from these. Please do more. We do them every month. We'll always do them. Steve is saying, my youth pastor took a bunch of us kids out with old cameras. He developed and printed our pictures. He said mine was great. That started it for me. That's exactly it. I mean, and I'm the same with like that. And that's when we come back, what I want to encourage everybody with is something challenging everybody with this coming week from the show. We'll give away some prizes. And then I want to also highlight a couple things for you.
Hey guys, I'm Karen Hutton and welcome to my class about Zion National Park. This park is absolutely gorgeous and it makes me so excited to be part of the greater National Park series that Kelby One is doing. Zion National Park to me is really special. I've been here many times. Throughout this class you're going to see footage of me and scenery from other trips, because I really wanted to give you a full experience of the place over time and different conditions and so on and so forth. Zion is really a big park, and you're going to want a car. We'll talk about other ways of traveling through it. But just as an overview, I think of Zion in 4 sections. One is Kolob Canyons, there's Kolob Terrace, then there's the Scenic Canyon on the beginning, the east side, and then the actual east side on the farthest other side of the park. So buckle up, we're going to cover all the areas and some of the specialities that each one has to offer, some of the things to be careful about, to be prepared for. We're going to talk about gear, we're going to talk about all kinds of things. So come join me on my latest epic class on kelby1.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
We're back and we're talking about encouragement, and one of the things I want to encourage you guys with this week is a challenge, right? So let's go out this week and let's encourage somebody's work, right?
Yes.
Let's go and figure out, and it really helps if it's, it could be anybody. It really helps with somebody that needs that encouragement, that maybe is just starting out, just trying to develop, and go out and encourage them that, hey, you're on the right path. You're doing great stuff. Just saying, like we said, that's a great photo. Just saying that can mean the difference between them continuing and then giving up.
Go on Instagram and just find
just
somebody
comment,
that you
just do
like
something.
and just find a picture and say, cool picture.
Yeah. And speaking of that, there's a couple people that I would love to encourage and just to tell, like, one is we have, and there's so many people. That's what I love about what we do here at Kelby One. There's so many members. There's so many people. I mean, I could go list by list of people that I've seen work develop. I mean, Stu's here in the audience right now. Stu's come to a workshop, and I've seen like his work like grow and grow and grow and just get better and better and better, right? So just keep on doing it. But like one that I wanted to talk about, like we have a member who's now an instructor, kind of like you were. This, again, it's the same path. It's very similar, where you started out, you kind of became a sponge, you learned everything, and then you went out and made it. And then you're teaching classes, you're kind of like full circle, bringing it back,
yeah.
right? And that's, for us, that's the biggest win, is when we have that. Like you or Kaylee Greer or others who you become the sponge, but then you become and you give back, and you keep that circle going, right? And one of them, who's a new instructor at Kelby One, John Dukes, right? So John Dukes, I've seen him develop over the years. I've seen him go and be like, he's trying it. He's trying a bunch of different stuff, and to where now his work is like, it's like really good, like really good. Where I'm like, man, that's a great photo. That's an awesome photo. Like he does. What's great about John is he does a lot of portrait work, like you can see here. But I think he's doing a lot of that portrait work. I don't know if they see it on the screen. They said they had it, but now maybe they don't. I don't know. But anyways, John Dukes. Check out his work. I was thinking we had it, but he's got this landscape work, and he's what I love about what John's done is he did something also that I would suggest that somebody starting out does, and that is focus local. Become a local pro, right? He lives in the Washington, D.C. area. His Washington, D.C. stuff is incredible.
Yeah.
But it's because he can go perfect it over years and get it great. I mean, that's what it took.
That's beautiful.
Oh, maybe is that me now?
And that's go for every kind of photography.
Yeah.
You don't have to move to New York if you're a fashion photographer.
No,
you can be the
but
top
I mean,
fashion photographer in the place that you are.
These things that he's shooting, like in Washington, D.C. and stuff that he's doing, like,
That's gorgeous.
It's
That's a
incredible
beautiful shot.
stuff. And
Yeah.
the stuff that he's doing at the Capitol, like, amazing, right? But that's what it takes. It takes, like, doing it, perfecting it, learning it, and then keeping on going. His work is really grown, and I would just tell John, like, keep it up. Like, what you're doing, like, keep it up, keep pushing. Another one, we had a member. She's a VIP member, and so she's in our inner circle. So she's been doing this coaching and kind of like more intimate, like one-on-one kind of training, which I love. I love getting to encourage people and bring the work. Well, here's the thing, right? Karen has been doing amazing work, right? So the first challenge we had in the inner circle was to work on panning, action panning. This is Karen's like first attempt
That's
at
insane.
it. Isn't that insane?
Yeah,
But
and
I'm like,
panning is not easy.
Panning's not easy, right?
It takes some panning muscles.
And it was amazing if you really looked at like what our members were able to create. Like once we taught and then we did, like it was amazing. But hers was like phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you got to enter this in contest. Like
Yes.
it's incredible,
Yes.
right? But then looking at, let me go back. Go to Karen's page maybe. So Karen, the next month, does a food shoot. So we did a food shoot. But if you look at like her pictures for the food shoot, like
They're delicious.
that's awesome. Incredible stuff.
Yeah.
So Karen, whatever you're doing, keep on doing it, right? You're going along the right path. You're doing the right things. You're applying the knowledge and making the pictures. So keep on doing it.
Yeah.
So there's so many people like this. And two, that's where if you're not on that path and you're not feeling like that, that's where I would say join groups, get with people. That's why we're here at Kelby One. We have not only do we have the classes, but what I love about Kelby One is we have a community. So we have a community where people interact. They can go online and interact. We also have stuff in person as well. Again, you can get more into these one-on-one or personal groups or small groups where you can get in and just get on that journey, right? Because when you have people around you pushing you and trying to get the work out of you, you're going to excel way faster than doing it alone.
I used to get together with a group of photographers from time to time. And we used to get a model or we used to set something and shoot. And each one of us will shoot it differently. And we will learn so much from each other.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's that from that community and just for learning how to look at things in a different perspective.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just
Like I'll
taking
go
things
on
from-
these, I'll teach these workshops, and it's always amazing to see. We will shoot within 100 yards of each other. And the next day when we're going through critiques or editing our photos and learning that, it's amazing for me to see all the different ways
Yes.
that that scene was shot. And the same happens when I'll go out with friends that will just go shoot, like call them out and be like, hey, you know, it happens in Florida a lot where, hey, we got a clear Milky Way day. It's like the first one in like 3 months. Do you want to go shoot? And then everybody's like, yeah, let's all go shoot. And then we'll go somewhere and it's like, man, how do we all get different shots from the same location? There's certain locations we go to.
And there
it's
is
just
a lot to
amazing.
learn from each other then.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And encourage each other and lift each other up. So, all right, winners. We've got a few winners here. So we've got the handle is going to Rod B. And then Crush the Composition book is going to Snap Ninja. So Snap Ninja, you got the Crush the Composition. B flat's going to Carrie, Sorgdale? Scordale, I'll say. And then on one, the No Noise is going to Two Dog Fox. So just email us over at gridprize@kelby1.com if you want, and please claim that by this Friday. We'll verify your information and then send you out your prize next week. So, cool. Well, Gilmar, where can they go find more about you?
They can go to my Instagram, Gilmar Smith, Gilmar Smith, and then they can go to my website that is right there, that is gilmarphotography.com.
Yes, and that's GIL.
ILMARphotography.com, all together.
Yep.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, thanks for joining us today. It was fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being an instructor here at Kelby One. Again, giving back and doing that full circle
It
thing.
is. I always say Kelby One is being my house since
Oh no,
day one.
I've loved to see. I've loved seeing your career grow, and it's probably like really seriously like what 11, 12 years.
Yeah, 11, 12 years.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
it's been about that. Because I've been
Yes.
here. I've been here at Kelby One for going on 18 years.
Wow.
So it was about that time where I remember. Because I remember Photoshop Worlds, and then you got to a point where you were coming to Photoshop Worlds, but then you were running booths at Photoshop
That
Worlds.
was like
'cause
my
I remember calling you up and being
favorite
like,
part.
"Hey, can you run a photo booth at
I
one of our things?"
absolutely like miss those booths. That was so much fun. Yeah,
so
a
much
Photoshop
fun.
World is so much fun. So
Yeah,
much fun.
yeah.
The community and the people and everybody that I know in the photography industry and all of that. It was thanks to Kelby One.
Yeah.
Thanks to Calibra. That was the first one. That
Yeah,
saw me,
exactly. I
and
mean,
yeah.
but it took that little bit of encouragement.
Yes,
to kind
absolutely.
of push, and that's what I want to talk about today. Is like
Yes.
we need to be open to doing that, but also accepting that and accepting that encouragement. When it
She's
comes
my
from other people.
photography godmother.
There you go. There you go. Well, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody for stopping by this week. Scott will be back next week. And then don't forget the iPhone conference is coming up, I think a couple weeks after that. So we will see you next week here on the grid. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
There goes the jib.